depending on your time zone. I mean, it's the top of the hour wherever you are. It's 2 here.
It'll be okay, Andrew.
Yeah, oof. Time is hard. But that means it's time to start. Hooray! Welcome, everybody. I'm Andrew. I'm one of the educators here at Bywater. I'll be doing most of the talking, but Kelly and Donna, who will introduce themselves, will correct me and say wise things.
I'm Kelly. I'm also an educator here.
It's Donna. I'm the third educator here at Bywater, and we basically form a comedy routine, I think is safe to say. But yeah, this is going to be an exciting thing. We have, obviously, as y'all know, changed how we're doing the new release information. So we genuinely do want to hear your feedback after this whole experience, and we will be reaching out to y'all to get some of that feedback. But, let us know how this goes. But yeah, so I'm very pleased to be here with the amazing Kelly and the awesome Andrew today.
All right. Well, the first thing I want to point you all to is over on our website, the 1911 Upgrade Webinars page. Hooray! You've probably seen this page or you would have had a hard time getting here. But this is going to give details of the upgrade webinars we're doing and also links off to a bunch of important other stuff like the 1911 Upgrade Notes page, our YouTube channel, where more 1911 stuff will be, manual, release documents, all the stuff you could possibly want. So, as mentioned, we're covering only a quick slice of the most important and most interesting, exciting stuff out of 1911. There's a whole lot more. So do have a look through this stuff. Each of our module-specific 1911 pages, so like the page about OPAC and circulation, the page about admin and reports, those each cover a bunch more bugs in greater detail, and also each include a link to send an email to an address we have made just to gather 1911 questions. Thanks to everybody who's already been sending questions there, which has been great. It's a good way for us to know what are the questions you all have about this stuff, because we always take all the upgrade notes, really go through them and try to think about what will this look like in practice, how will people use this? And every time we do these upgrade webinars, there is some really perfect question that we have just not thought of like exactly how does this hit the road? So do please give that some attention. But to jump from there to the things I want to talk about today, I'm going to close this and go over to my test site, which is on 1911.05, I believe. And I've got a handful of exciting features I want to talk about here. As I go along, Kelly and Donna are going to be watching the chat and the Q&A. Please do ask questions there, and then they'll bug me and make me stop and answer your questions. I basically am juggling enough windows that I won't see the thing, but they'll see the thing. Oh, and if you're in the chat, rather than the Q&A, be careful in the chat that you are sending your questions to everybody. It's really easy in Zoom to accidentally send that to just one person or just to the 3 presenters. So it's less confusing if you tell it to show to everybody. Okay, my first thing is from bug 19618. This is a development sponsored by our friends at the Southeast Kansas Library System. And this is club holds. So I don't know if you all have played with clubs much. Prior to 1911, they weren't doing a whole lot. This is the first big club feature that I've been really excited about. And this lives, well, setup for this lives in tools. So let's zoom over there first. Let me make this a little bigger. How's that, y'all?
Great.
There's problems of monitor resolution. All right, patron clubs lives here. We have a couple patron clubs. We've got on our blog details about how to set clubs up. This feature has existed for a while, the ability to define clubs and enroll people in them. But as I said, they haven't been doing a ton, so you might not have really touched on this yet. But we create clubs, we enroll patrons in them. That club enrollment can ask some questions, gather like, I don't know, I think about what kind of club. Well, for our book club examples here, it might ask what grade are you in. So stuff like that, you can get some information as you go along. But then once your clubs exist and have patrons in them, we now in 1911 have an exciting new thing. We come over here and just get a book. Book. It's a terrible search. Oh, I didn't even find anything. Oh no. Or it found everything and got really mad about that. Due to searching on our test site. Oh, I know what it is. Don't mind me.
Oh, okay. I was like having a panic attack, ready to ping systems on alert.
No, that was entirely me. I was on the wrong URL. Okay. My apologies. All right, let's try that again. Batman. And it doesn't much matter what we pick here. Get a book, and we're going to place a hold. And we're defaulting to patrons just like we've always done, but we've got a new tab here. Zoom myself in again. Where I can say, I don't want to place a hold for a patron. I want to place a hold for a club. And now I've forgotten what our clubs were named.
Oh, it's like 5-7.
There we go. 5-7 grade book club. All right, so this is going to place holds for all the students in my club. It's giving me a bunch of little messages here, mostly because they all want to get picked up somewhere else. But it takes everybody in my club. It places holds for all of them. They come in a randomized order. So if you've got a book club that is always placing holds all together, it won't always be the same people getting those books in the same order. And there we go, holds are placed. I know one thing we're following up on this is giving some better feedback when a hold fails for some reason. I ended up with 4 holds placed, and I think I had 5 people in my club. Oh, back arrow's not going to tell me. So be aware of that. That's a bug that is getting worked on now. And you know, it works. It could do a better job of telling you what didn't place a hold and why.
2 questions.
Mm-hmm.
Will that club tab show up by default when placing a hold? Yes, it will.
Yeah, it will. If you don't have any clubs defined, the tab will be empty.
And then what if the patrons are at different branches? And that was, go ahead.
It's going to go to the patron's home branch for pickup. And I think we also filed a further enhancement for that to give you the ability to set that differently if you want to. Peggy says someone's account was expired. And yeah, that might have been why the hold didn't place. That's a system preference to ask whether or not expired folks can place holds.
Yeah, Peggy has really quick eyes. That's exactly what it was.
And we've seen by testing, if somebody has too many holds and they go to be placed on hold, that hold will not be fulfilled either or placed because
yeah, it's going to follow your cert rules. Oh, Jason says the pickup location defaults to the logged in staff users library. Let us test that. That was not my memory, but you've probably played with it more than I have. Oh, and Jason has filed a bug for that. 23820. Alexis asks if there is a limit on the number of patrons in a club. Don't believe so.
We should try.
I suppose at some point, if your club was your entire patron database, that might be a problem just because your system would then be trying to place all of those holds at once, but there's no hard-coded limit. Yeah, really, really, really big clubs might be a problem, but nothing else. Don asked, order for patrons getting the club, getting the holds? Well, those holds are going to be generated randomly among all the club members.
Peggy's audio is not working.
Sorry, Peggy.
I'm sorry. Oh, better. soon as you type it, it's always the way. Always the way.
So that's club holds, vamping a little bit in case somebody's typing a question.
As Andrew said, it's really exciting to see movement in the club patron clubs at this kind of enhancement to piggyback on patron clubs, because that's been around for a while. So if people have not explored the patron clubs, I'll go ahead and link to an existing blog post about setting those up if you are interested, knowing that you now have this functionality.
And I can't stress enough, Jason responded with a bug he's already filed for this. I love to see that. So often in Koha, we're getting a feature in to establish our base functionality with the assumption that folks are going to file further bugs or enhancements to really tweak it. And we don't know what you want unless you tell us what that is. Bridget asked about the last patron button. This was new in Koha 1905, I believe. So relatively new. There is a system preference for it that you might have turned off. But yeah, it will take me back to whichever patron record I was looking at last.
I have to say that it moved in 1911. So maybe it looks different now that it's moved. Yes, Andrew, it has moved within the breadcrumb. So it's in within.
Oh, was it like right here before?
Yeah.
No, it's down here. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm moving on from here to another exciting circulation related thing. And this is claims returned. So, actually, is this checked out? It's in transit. Let's get it checked out. And now you'll all see why our test site is so confused all the time. Because I'm taking a book that was in transit and I'm just checking it out. It's gonna mess stuff up. Oh well. Oh no. Oh gosh. My account's so messed up. Okay. Okay, Kelly says she has posted the Patron Club Holds blog post, which also then links off to the blog post about setting up clubs. Okay, claims returned. You will notice now in 1911, I've got a new tab in my Patron account for claims. And I've got in my list of checkouts, I scroll over a little bit, a button to mark these things claimed returned. So let's start with Batman here. And I'm going to mark this claim returned. I have a chance to put in a note. I don't know. Patron says he put it in the book drive. What a liar. I think we've all gotten meaner about our patrons now that we don't work in libraries anymore. I mean, the three of us, the three trainers.
For yourself.
Yeah. Okay, that is marked claimed returned. And I can see it in my claims tab. So it tracks it separate from the checkouts. It has marked it in the item record that this was claimed returned, but it hasn't charged me for it. Come over here. This is claims returned. It tracks when this claim was created. Real easy to run a report of everything that is at that claims return status for people to go look for them. And then when this book is found, let me loop back to that, Rosa. When this book is found, staff can come back in here and resolve this claim. Can also edit notes in the meantime if I want to add further notes of like, I looked for this on such and such date, so on. I can resolve this claim and give a resolution reason, and that'll clear that out. Okay, flurry of questions.
Exactly. I was was like, okay, just get through the sentence before I attack you.
Understandably, claims returned is a big deal. Rosa asked, when changing the item to claims returned, will the patron still be able to check out items, or will it restrict them? It does not restrict them. I'm still able to check stuff out. Notice when I was setting it to claims returned, I had the option to charge them the lost value of the book. So if you charge them, that would probably block them just based on the amount of money they owed you. There is a system preference that determines when you set something to claimed. Do you charge them, do you not charge them, or do you ask? Don asked, do claims returns still show up in items out? And yeah, they do. It's still listed here. I just sorted that weirdly. It listed my items out and it shows claims returned. Heather asked, do you show us how the claims return item looks in the OPAC? Yeah.
See, this is why we loved our partners, is I never looked at what it looked like on the OPAC.
So this is marked claims returned. It wouldn't have to say that. I mean, this is an authorized value, so we could give it a different display in the OPAC. We could make it say something other than claims returned. We could also just tell the OPAC to hide them. Does it stay checked after the patron? Yes. Does claim return status clear automatically when the item is checked in, or do you have to manually resolve the status? Right now, it does not clear automatically. When this item gets checked in, well, it's going to do a lot of things. There's a hold. I owe some money. This item was claimed returned by Andrew F. So that gives you a chance to jump over there and take care of that manually on the patron record. I know we have a bug already filed suggesting scripting in some automated handling, and even further automated handling based on how it gets checked in. So yeah, look for that further enhancement to this, but right now it's a manual thing. George asked, is the list of resolutions built from a list of authorized values? And yes, it is. So I jumped into the front end use of it, but let me back up and look at the setup here. Ignore that and go to admin. I will start, since George asked about it, here in authorized values. And return claim resolution. So here's my authorized value list of how this thing was resolved. Fill this out with whatever resolution reasons you want. We did kind of just two real basic ones to start, but I'm sure there would be other reasons. Don said he missed the OPAC claims returned. Yeah, it does show in the OPAC. It says claims returned right there. That wording would be easy to change though, or even to just hide.
Sorry, we also have a question from Nancy that if the patron returns the item after a claims return has been initiated, will overdues apply?
I don't believe so, but let's double check that. Okay. You mean like my thing was due on the 10th, on the 12th I claimed it returned, and then on the 20th the thing actually got checked in? I believe I would be paying 2 days of overdues, not 10 days of overdues.
That's what I'm guessing, but Nancy, if you would go ahead and, yes, she said correct, that happens often. So we'll go ahead and run that test on it just to make sure.
So taking another step into, can a customer see the claims return note? I don't believe so, but let's double check. Another step into the authorized values here under lost. This is actually where that claims return status lives. It is technically a lost variant. We're just sort of hijacking it for claims return. So in some ways it acts like a lost thing, and in some ways it's modified. And that is based on, in our system preferences, claim return lost value. So we're telling it, take 5 out of my lost list and make that my claims return thing. We do have this warning threshold. Warn librarians that a patron has more than this many. So if you have those folks who are repeatedly putting in claims returned, it puts a little message up on their account that says this patron already has so many. And then here's that question about whether or not to charge them the lost fee. Jason asks, will patrons still get overdue notices for items in claim return? And no, I don't believe they will, because that item is lost. Can claim return the lost value accept more than one value? I don't believe so. We didn't test it. This isn't going to work. I'm going to bet $10, but
Who's going to bet him? Who's going to bet him?
because it doesn't give me any way to.
Right. It doesn't choose what it is.
Yeah.
You don't choose the value. So you just.
This is note. All right, let's see if I can. I don't think I have any visibility on that in the OPAC. No. It made my claim, but I'm sure it just used the first value. But George, again, that's the sort of thing that would be great to build onto this as we go forward. Yeah, and that just went to claims returned. I want to log into the OPAC as me. Yeah, so I don't get to see my claims returned here. It shows that I have this checked out, but does not show me the claim, nor does it show me the note on it.
Right.
Okay. Rose asked another question. Once the patron returns the claimed item or is found in the library, will the history of this stay in the patron's account? Yes. So once these get resolved, found in the library, resolve this one. The other way, why not? Those stay in the patron account. It's now telling me I've got 2 resolved, 0 unresolved. Here's my I'm over the limit of 1 note. It's giving me that big red, now watch out, this patron does a lot of claims returned message. And yeah, those stay there. We have already filed a bug adding a process to the update, to the cleanup database cron to remove old claims returned after a period of time. So if your library likes to track that for a year and then say, after a full calendar year, we just forget about your claims return, that'll be easy to set up. I don't believe that patch has gone through QA yet, but it's a pretty simple one. Don asks, for the claims returned under the checkout tab in the patron record, are those affected by renew all? So like if I'm here, this is currently claims returned. If I renew all, I don't expect this will renew, but let's find out. Well, and I'm also scheduled for automatic renewal. That doesn't help. That did not renew. What if I, just to double check this, oop. I don't have the opt out of auto renew. It's not on this site. Oh, dang.
You want me to remove it real quick?
Yeah.
Okay.
We can double check that, Don. We'll test that in a more controlled environment. Okay. I'm going to move on to some other patrony stuff. And this is about guarantors. A few things about guarantors here. Oh, and let me back up. I forgot to say, claims returned. That enhancement was sponsored by the Fargo Public Library and the North Central Regional Library System. So thanks to both of them. That's really exciting, cool stuff to have new info. All right, I'm going to grab our friend Wesley George. Oh, he has so many finds. Oh, and Don asked for claims returned, do they show on print slip? That I'm going to bet they do, but let's back up. That one's real easy to test. Yes, they do show on the print slip. It's not including the fact that this thing is claims returned, although we probably could make it do so. I think probably our slip setup just doesn't know how to show that, but that between template toolkit and just normal notice markup, that would be doable. Okay, Wesley. Our first change here is from bug 14570, sponsored by the Northeast Kansas Library System and the Vermont Organization of Koha Automated Libraries. All these library acronyms that I never say out loud. You know, Nichols and Vocal. Make it possible to add multiple guarantors to a record. So this is really cool. Our child patrons can finally have more than one guarantor. Going to give you a lot more ability to track which kids belong where, or maybe which parents belong to which kids. Anyway, Wesley George here already has one guarantor, but now I can edit Wesley and see guarantor information. We've got Molly Weasley in there, and I can add as many more as I want. Steve McQueen. Hollywood power couple, Steve McQueen and Molly Weasley. Yeah, this is actually a pretty big change to data structure on the back end. Previously, there was one box in the patron record to hold a guarantor, so you could only have one. This has made a whole other table. So if you've got reports that look at guarantors, they're going to need to get rejiggered. But totally worthwhile payoff to be able to add more guarantors on there. We'll mark Steve McQueen here. Oh, I don't have any relationships. He's going to have no relationship. Oh, and I clicked the wrong button. Well, I made it mad. We broke it, guys.
Donna, do you remember asking, hey, if I clear out these relationships, what's going to happen? We found out.
No, don't do that. That's our problem right there. Super dude.
Thank goodness we didn't do it on that other site. We've all breaking to buy water support.
There we go. Steve McQueen. Did I save that? Anyway. Add multiple guarantors. Oh, it's still mad at me because I didn't reload the page properly.
I'm totally taking that as a Donna's fault, but I'll take it too because I watched her do it.
Lizette asks, can you have more than one guarantor if you aren't searching and linking? Yeah, that is a good question.
So you can have
I think we might have inadvertently removed the ability to put in a guarantor who's not a patron.
Since when? Since right now?
No, and then Lizette says it's still there in their 1911. Oh, good. But you're right that I don't have... Here. You go away for a second, Molly. So now Wesley has no guarantors. It's just giving me search ad. Okay, we'll have to poke at this.
Should we try somebody else, like a different person? Maybe you broke George.
George's account is in rough shape, it's true.
Yeah.
Try Lucy. So you could try Lucy Green. I think she's clear, but I'm not positive.
Well, Lucy has
Mm-hmm.
two guarantors, Hugo and Walter. Betsy asked, does it matter that George's last name is not the same as Molly's? No, Wesley George in there has been linked to Molly Weasley over and over again because we all keep thinking he's George Weasley and he's not. But no, absolutely, Koha is not checking names there. It's just saying, you told me there is a relationship here, so I don't need to verify that with anything. Oh, Lizette says it's down under contact instead of guarantor information.
Yep, keep scrolling.
There we go. Although you're right, that's not letting me enter more than one there. So that, I think that's room for growth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lizette is looking to add guarantors outside of the Koha system and multiple ones at that.
Yeah, multiple non-patron guarantors. My next couple of things are also about guarantors and guarantees, and these are bugs 20691 and 23214. Add the ability for guarantors to see guarantees fines in the OPAC, and the ability for guarantors to pay guarantees fines in the OPAC. I'm going to jump back to George Wesley, simply because I know he has some fines. And let's put Molly back on here. So obviously this is going to require your guarantor to be a patron, because if they're not a patron, they don't have a login for the OPAC. Okay, Molly's a super dude. All right, here's the first question. This one, show fines to guarantors, yes or no? All of your patrons are going to default to no on this one. Unless this gets changed for that individual patron, their guarantors cannot see their fines. This is always set in the guarantee account. So there's no way to go to a parent and say, yes, this parent can see all the fines that's going to be on each individual child's card. There is a system preference. Fine. Well, not if you spell it that way. Two system preferences, in fact. Allow staff to set fine visibility, allow patron to set fine visibility. So if you don't come here and turn on at least one of these system preferences, none of your patrons will ever get that switch flipped in their account, and no guarantor will ever see guarantee fines. But I've got this set to patrons can change it themselves in the OPAC, and staff can change it for patrons on the staff side. That controls the visibility. So over here, I'm saying for Wesley George, Molly is his guarantor, and yes, she can see his fines. Save that. And then I'm going to log out of me and log in to Molly. Where I can see, I've got a bunch of extra tabs here. Molly's checkouts, relatives checkouts, relatives fines. And George says, this was sponsored by Nichols and Seckles. That wasn't in our notes. That didn't make it into Bugzilla. Thank you, we will add that. So George Weasley has something checked out, and Wesley George owes $68. So I can see that here in the relatives fines tab. I can click the dollar amount to get some more detail of what those fines are. I can't speak to that, George. And then if I had PayPal actually set up on my OPAC, this is the second half of this, Molly could actually pay those fines here. I have PayPal set up just enough that I get the link, but it won't actually let me process a payment. So yeah, PayPal or anything else that takes payment through the OPAC, if you've got an add-on that does that with some other service, that will allow payment if you're allowed to see those. And just to show you what this looks like from the guarantee patron end, I think George is just George. Phew. This lives under your privacy. So in where your patrons can make choices about their reading history, this is where they will also see if they are a guarantee, allow your guarantor to view your fines. Yes or no. Again, if you have that system preference turned on. Okay, my last patron-related thing. This is bug 17168, sponsored by Round Rock Public Library. And it is pretty near unshowable. Here, I'll show you this. It'll be really exciting. It's a new cron job. Update patron category.pl. Ooh. This is actually really exciting, even though it's not a thing I can really show you particularly. So 1905 and previous, Koha had a cron job to change child patrons into adult patrons, to move them from the child patron category to the adult patron category. It worked, fine, but that was all it did. This has been reworked into this new cron job that does a lot more. It's totally cool. It can still go from from a child category to an adult category based on the age. It can also, I love this, if your patrons have become too young for their category, they can get moved out of it. But it can also change patron categories based on fine amount, registration date, or any other field in the patron record. If you want to say every Friday we take every category named Andrew and we move them into the loser category where they don't get any borrowing rights, I'm going to take that personally, but you could do it. The cron job will let you. So this is a much, much bigger tool than it was before, and definitely one where I'm interested to see what people come up with. But yeah, I know a lot of libraries that say every month patrons who have more than this amount of fine go into a special restricted category. Things like that we can suddenly do now. So that's pretty exciting. Though, as I said, I can't show it to you much. It's a thing we'll set up in your crons and then it will run. Now I pause for questions again. Ron asks, can you specify something like 60 days before instead of a specific date? Like everybody they're about to expire or will expire in the next 60 days. I don't know. I don't think so. It kind of depends how this process is. But I think it's a hard date. Yeah, it does say enter a date in ISO format.
And then
I'm not going to swear that our systems people couldn't figure out some clever way to make that 60-day thing work.
They're pretty clever.
And Lizette asks, can you do multiple options such as patrons with X things and specific branches? I don't believe so on that. I mean, you could run multiple instances of the cron, but I don't think it knows how to check two things for each individual patron. I'm interested to double check that, but I don't believe so.
And just as a pause while people are typing Andrew to lots of questions, we do take all the questions that you're asking during this webinar and the next one, and we will create a document to post for questions that were asked and then the answers if we weren't able to answer them live, which happens more often than not probably, just so you can if you don't want to watch the whole recording or you want to pass on some information to your colleagues, then there'll be a place for you to go for that.
Yep. And if I tell you here that I'm going to follow up on some question and then I don't answer it, email me. I'm at kelly@bywatersolutions.com.
Yeah, I'll do this. What is it? 1911 upgrades. Think of a question after we leave today, or as you for your 1911, you can email us a question, and we're going to talk about all these questions during our 2 question and answer sessions. And is it in June? Oh my goodness, June is almost here.
Pretty close. All right, my next bug here is in cataloging. This is bug 15497, sponsored by the Central Kansas Library System, the Northeast Kansas Library System, and the Southeast Kansas Library System. So most of Kansas. And this is limit item types by library. This is going to be a big one for really any big multi-library system. Let me get back to Koha, close that tab, and go over to administration. Yes, the best of Kansas, says George. He can say that. I'm not involved. All right, over here in our item type setup, it says added library limitations to this table. So I can say maybe for my artwork item type, this item type is only used by, in this case, the Northeast Campus branch. So just really making things simpler for particularly catalogers in a big multi-branch system where you don't need to see everybody's item types, because a lot of our big systems have a lot of item types because those tend to just kind of populate based on different circulation behaviors or any reason 100 grouped together libraries might have to each make 5 item types. So really nice to make those just not appear as options when you're cataloging stuff. Like pare things down and break things apart, be a little more branch friendly or multi-library friendly.
This is so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
It's another one that I can't show you a really exciting shebang of changing it, but will make lives easier, which is always good. And that brings us next to serials. Speaking of exciting, flashy changes and parts of Koha that everybody loves, serials. And this is actually, we might be in a nerdy ILS support bubble over here, but we were all really, really excited about this one because it is a question we've gotten a lot. And this is bug 23435, add multiple copies of an item when receiving in serials. So say you work at a great big library that gets 5 copies of Bon Appetit magazine. I do Cook's Illustrated. I don't know why. You get 5 copies of Cook's Illustrated. They all need to go out to different branches. You want to track that you have received them, get those item records made. Previously in Koha, that was going to mean setting up 5 separate subscriptions and receiving each one of those separately. And that wasn't much fun. So now I can come here, and when I'm receiving issue 37 of Cook's Illustrated on my just one subscription, I say this has arrived. It gives me my item creation, and I can make as many items as I want. We got 5 copies of this one. Put in whatever information I need in there. Just like cataloging multiple copies of a book at a time, things like barcode, you're going to have to come back in and add to each item unless you're auto barcoding them. But this is going to make my 5 copies and take care of it for me. I jump over to that bib. I've got my 5 copies of issue number 37. This is maybe more showy if you've spent time receiving all those serials manually. From here, it just kind of looks like, oh yeah, I did a thing. He clicked some stuff.
This is one of those things that I am really excited about. As much as that, for those of you that know me, I'm never excited about serials, but I'm kind of on a quest to get more libraries excited about serials because I think it's going to be helpful, but it's things like this that are doing it. So I'm hoping that people are going to like it and that we'll get more libraries using serials.
George raises his hand, but maybe just in solidarity with serials.
Or maybe he's tapping out. He's like, no serials.
All right. My last chunk of stuff I want to talk about today are all reports related. Denise says they only have a dozen serials now, so it's overkill, which I certainly hear from a lot of libraries anymore, particularly your public libraries. Or academics too. Our big serials users anymore are special libraries that have like professional publications. Law firms still have them, yeah. Hi, Laurel. Shouldn't say law firms, law libraries.
Law libraries unite.
Absolutely, law libraries are still deep into serials.
Yay, Heather.
All right, next I'm going to reports, and I'm going to talk about a whole bunch of interconnected bugs. They're all listed in the what's new. I'm not going to read all the numbers out. This has basically been a great big change to account lines. I know we changed account lines some in 1905. We started splitting out the account type field and moving some of that into a new status field. These bunch of bugs take that same idea further, and they're splitting account type into 2 new columns, account credit type and account debit type. So every entry in your patron account, your fines and fees, is going to have either a credit type to show that it's a credit or a debit type to show that it's a debit. It's a really big data structure change, but makes reporting a lot easier. Whereas previously, if you wanted a report that listed all of the payments, you had to do some real gymnastics to get all those. Now you can just say, give me everything where account credit type is not null. George says in the last 8 years, account lines has undergone more report breaking changes than any other table. And that does not shock me for 2 reasons. 1, it's always complicated and important data. And 2, frankly, Koha had a lot to like learn and grow on there. It was a messy table, and it's not, yeah, it's been a little painful at times making it less messy. There's some growing pains there, but I wrote a whole blog post about these changes that is linked off of our 1911 sort of omnibus links. But yeah, as I dug through this to really kind of determine how are your reports going to need to change to accommodate this new data structure, I like it. It makes a lot of sense. I think reports will be easier to write going forward. But it's a bit of a thing, and it is going to break reports. There you go. Kelly linked that blog post. So be aware of that. Do have a look at the blog post. If you've got reports that deal with account lines that you use regularly, if you feel confident digging in there and changing it yourself, by all means, enjoy. But also feel free to open tickets for a hand with any of that. They're not going to be really onerous changes, but they're going to changes will need to happen. The reports as written won't work with the 1911 data structure. I stuck a couple reports in here just to kind of show you what's what. what these look like.
And with change comes big opportunities. That's all we have to remember.
Did I? I thought I did. No, those are from last year.
Are you filtering yours? Oh, you are. Okay.
So, general example of what this is going to look like. Account credit type code shows us this is a credit. Debit type code if it's a debit. Since we've been in here mucking with the table structure anyway, we took that opportunity to relabel a bunch of these. If you'd spent any time in account lines before, you knew that account type had a bunch of hard-coded values that were just 1 or 2 letters, and really took some translating in each and every account to make those readable. Those are now like full words that actually tell you what this thing is. So yeah, great changes, but changes that will take some accommodation. Kate says, yeah, I like when you can just read the data. You don't need to go look at another, like, there's a very nice Koha FAQ page that walks you through all those weird codes, but I won't miss it now that I don't need it anymore. So not a ton to show you about account lines, but we absolutely wanted to bring it up here and just let you know that that's a thing that is happening. Kate says she must have run my translation report 1 billion times last summer. And I wrote Kate a quick report that was, if account type says this is what it means, here's an example. And we don't need it anymore, which is delightful. So we're coming up on an hour. That is the stuff we wanted to talk about. Oh yeah, George spotted the new button. This new button is super cool and didn't quite make the cut for this What's New webinar. But I don't know, you've probably all poked at in 1905. If you put item numbers in a report, you can send them to item modification. That got built out a whole lot more and it's super cool. Items can still go to item modification. Items can also now go to item deletion. And here. Oh, I don't have them in this report. But if your report includes card numbers, it'll give you options to put those patrons in batch patron modification. Well, that's all it does for patrons. And then bibs, if you have bib numbers in there, you can do batch bib deletion modification or send all those bibs to a list. Heather says that's almost as cool as all the new advanced bib editor features. Yeah, there's a ton over there too. If you play with the advanced editor, there's cool stuff happening over there, new keyboard shortcuts. All together, again, we really tried to just give you 1 hour of some cool stuff and things to be aware of. There's a whole bunch of other cool 1911 stuff. Do have a look at those blog posts. Send us your questions. Please join us for the Q&A in a couple of weeks here. Kelly wants to say something and I keep stopping her.
That's okay, that's okay. Our demo site has 1911, so if you go to our website, go to the bottom and you want to test something, go ahead. That is absolutely what I know I do for everything that's in those release notes is I have to walk through it. And then you all have a question and I was like, oh, I never looked at how claims return looks on the OPAC. So get in there, get dirty. I actually was excited for patrons and circ stuff until I saw cataloging stuff and I got really excited because there are column configurations in Z39.50, musical scores.
Musical scores are really cool.
You gotta go see those. So check out our blog posts. I know, exactly. Check out all the blog posts. Look at our additional blog posts and tutorial videos, our pictures that we show you, and get ready. We're excited.
I gotta go find that musical score. I can't remember which.
It was called Music the Appreciation.
Oh, good memory.
I personally like the QR code.
Oh, the QR code, see?
There's a lot of really, really neat stuff in 1911 that I think y'all are gonna enjoy.
We are recording this as Andrew goes ahead and looks at it. It like takes a minute. Oh no, music. We are recording this, so if you want to watch this later, if you have colleagues that weren't able to attend, this will be here. Oh.
Not the one.
I didn't do it.
No, I don't think that's the right title. Tina asked for those blog posts. Can one of you grab the URL? And
Absolutely.
thank you. Peggy suggests searching by music score. That would work if our data were reasonable. I really just picked a random book about music and stuck a blanked on the mark tag now. So,
031. Was it the 031?
that sounds right.
I'll find it. I'll tell you what it is. 'Cause you have a screenshot in the document.
Yeah.
So.
And then just to reiterate, I'm pasting the webinar schedule one in there again as a reminder that we do have our 2 Q&A sessions that Kelly will be coordinating. She'll be the MC for those. So come and ask her lots of hard questions.
Aren't you going to be there with me?
No.
Oh, okay.
Of course we are.
And y'all, I'm digging around to find this music score thing because I think it's neat and I want to show it to you, but don't feel like you need to hang around if you don't want to.
It's Roger. The last name is Roger. K-M-I-E-N. Are you in the right?
Yes. Right? Yeah. Oh, what did we do?
I totally looked at it yesterday. There it is. Oh, it's for reference, so maybe it's not visible on the open. Oh, there it is.
But look, it puts my musical incipit in there, and then it's so cool. And honestly, like, that's cool, but I was so much more excited about learning that the 031 is a thing. I had no idea there was some crazy mark record musical notation format. Somehow that means this, and like a wow.
Show the QR code that's right there.
Yeah, this is Donna's favorite. The QR code. Send to device. If I just scan that with my smartphone, it grabs that record.
Mm-hmm. And you don't need an app for the QR code. You just use your camera.
I love Heather's idea though, because with their specialized library, all of their sea chanties, they can have now added to their bib record. So Heather, we're expecting great things for you.
Yeah.
Come on, you've promised a couple of things already.
You're gonna have to learn plain and easy musical notation.
Oh, Heather said want. Not that she's going to do it, but wants it. But fun stuff. Thank you all for joining us again. Always great fun having y'all here and putting up with our shenanigans.
Bye, folks.